thank you for another exciting episode of Passion. I'm your host, Britt Ivy Boyce, and today we have with us Senator Alan DeBoer. Welcome, Alan. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, Britt. It's nice to be here.
Great. Always good to have you. We are talking today about the election cycle. I understand you only have 2 more months in your term. Many of us are grieving that fact, but you are moving on from being our senator, so graciously stepping in for Senator Alan Bates, who was also a beloved serviceman. So please tell us a little bit about what's going to be happening in the next couple months in this Senate race.
Well, I thank everybody for the opportunity to fill in this term. It's been a great educational experience for me.
I can imagine.
And I think noticeable impact in Salem. People won't know things I've been doing you won't see for a couple of years. But we tend to not fix the big problems. I mean, 3,000 bills written, I voted on 800 of them. And in election cycle, you can spin those. I watched the spin on Newt Bueller's no votes, and I understand every one of those votes, and I can empathize. There's a reason why you vote no, and it may not be against the bill. It's against something in the bill.
The worst part of the bill.
The worst part of the bill. I mean,
Right.
and I can give you specific examples, but we don't have the time. But I do have a great example. I will share it maybe later.
Okay.
But
Well, we do have time for an example, or
well, we have a race coming up. I looked long and hard for who would want to run for my seat and who was capable of it. I called almost all the people that I knew. A person came to the top, Jessica Gomez, which is an amazing woman. She started her own business. She makes microchips and ships them all over the world from Medford, Oregon.
wow.
She's been in Salem a lot working on PERS and other issues. And the governor's appointed her. She's on the trustee for the Oregon, I always want to call it OTI, but the Oregon Technical Institute, that it has a new name because my brother went there. But, you know, I give the voters an opportunity to put a female Latino in the Republican Senate caucus.
That's never been done before.
I think it's the first time in the history of Oregon. And very qualified person. She knows everybody. When, you know, she worked in my office for a month, paid her $1,000 so she'd get the education of the payroll. She spent way more than that being up there for the month.
I can imagine.
But it was amazing. And she knew all the Democrats, all the Republicans. She's friends with everybody. She can work across the board and get things done. And so I don't understand. To voters, I'd be really concerned about the supermajority. I don't want the supermajority. Twice in the history of the Oregon House and Senate, the Senate's been 15-15, the House has been 30-30. It's a lucky thing to get there. But everybody will say both sides had to work together. And one of the best sessions ever for getting stuff done. So
I agree. I've heard the same.
and I, you know, even when in the senators are federal, I supported Smith and Wyden because I wanted one of each. And Walden, you know, he's the only elected Republican official we have in the state of Oregon
Right.
for the federal, and he's like the 6th highest Republican in the nation. That bodes well for Oregon.
Yes.
And you know, you're a token Republican, I guess, there, but to replace it and not have him there would be sad for the state.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I do like the fact that she is very able to be bipartisan, that she knows people on both sides of the aisle. I've met her, intelligent woman. Starting your own business is no small thing. And how exciting to have a female senator for us. And as you mentioned, I didn't know she was Latino. I don't get all that all the time, you know, so at any rate, that would be wonderful.
We certainly need more diversity in the state, I mean, in the federal everything.
Sure, sure.
It's, you know, the election cycle, I'm glad I'm not running. I hate to run. I like to quietly work in the background, and that's where I'm comfortable.
It's because you're humble.
But we watch the money thing right now. What is it, $4 million or $5 million in the governor's race? What could that do for homeless? lower tuition for the universities. I mean, where could that money be spent? And it's just, and you know, everybody's bashing each other back and
Firefighting.
forth. And even
Or
Jeff, when
fire
he says,
prevention, pardon me.
Jeff, when he says he's not taking special money from anybody, and certainly I tried to do that when I ran for the House seat. I limited, but it was a lot of work trying to figure it out. But you can't control the state. So he's got hundreds of thousands of dollars coming in now from special interests running all of his TV. Look at them. They say paid for by Southern Oregon Priorities, whoever that is.
Right.
And, you know, I appreciate Jeff trying to. We need to change some things. I mean, let's ban corporate, let's ban union donations and only allow personal checks. I mean, there's something that really fixes the system.
Right, along with term limits.
Now, I don't support term limits.
I do support some term limits, and I did just visit Mount Vernon last week, and I didn't know George Washington when he met Martha. She was a widow. I found out all sorts of interesting information. He was the very first president and he set a term limit two times.
Yep, and self-imposed, but
Self-imposed.
in the state, the lobbyists would end up running the state because they would be the ones with all the history, because I did support term limits.
I see, I see.
But I self-impose them on myself just because I think serving too long gets you in trouble.
Right, right. Well, you're honest about that, and that's refreshing. I also found it very refreshing when you just said, I hired this person to work in my office, I paid her $1,000 a month. How many times do you hear people disclose figures like that? I think it takes some integrity. This is what happened, this is what we did. She spent more of her own money. But I like your point about think of what $4 million could do for the constituents of the state.
It's a broken system, and I blame the voters. I mean, when it really comes down to
thanks.
They get moved by negative, they get moved by quantity, they get moved by TV. I mean, just read the voters'
Hugely
pamphlet.
by TV.
Know who they are, look who their supporters are, call them, and ask them on things. And Jessica's a great example that everybody's saying she's for the Jordan Cove project. And I keep
They're
seeing
saying
it.
Gomez is for the...
Yeah, so I went on our website. Right on our website, there's a question, do you support the Jordan Cove? And it says no, and it has a paragraph, why?
Well, if there's fake news, or if there's a voter's pamphlet, what are you going to believe? So I see what you mean about blaming the voters.
Everybody's spinning. So
Right.
if we didn't turn on our TV and just did our duty, and everybody needs to vote, mark your ballot and send it in. It's a great privilege. Oregon has vote by mail. It's as easy as can be. And if you don't want to pay for a stamp, there's a box in Ashland, there's a box in Medford. You can drive by and put it in. But we need to vote. But this spin, I mean, it's funny to watch the governor's race, being there, working with both of them.
Yes.
I watched the spin on the ads, and they're not accurate from both sides.
Right. Well,
I mean, they're misleading, and now the ads will get worse. So expect mailers from up north. Look at the address it came from.
Good
if it
idea.
doesn't say from Jessica Gomez, and same thing on a TV ad. If it's not, the
Gomez,
disclaimer,
right.
it'll say who paid for the ad.
Right.
So
And
if somebody else is doing it, they're bypassing the election laws and rules that,
And attacking
that give clarity
Gotcha.
about where the money came from.
Gotcha.
But we shouldn't let the money affect us.
Well, you're right. I used to be in television, and television advertising wins races, unfortunately. I actually don't own a television, but I own television.
I just had a friend that their 14-year-old grandson killed himself in the last couple of days.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
But what we're doing to our kids with all this negativity and every ad bashing each other, I mean, it's a hard time to grow up when there's so many wonderful things about Oregon. And you hear these ads and then you see these negative things. And look at the person, provide balance, make your vote, turn off all this media. Because if the media didn't work, it wouldn't happen.
Right.
And you talk about Republicans getting corporate donations. That's only to counteract the union donations to the Democrats.
Right.
And it about equals. I mean, in my race, I think I raised $700,000. My opponent raised $740,000. Heard a lot about my side. Didn't hear a lot about her side. And I only won because she went negative.
Right.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have won, say, 395 votes. And clearly, you know,
Amazing.
it's the teachers union didn't support me, and they won't support a Republican unless the Republican can win. Yet I had 10 years of direct education experience. Opponent had none. Nurses didn't support me. Yet I was on the board of the Ashland Hospital, helped sell it, improved their positions, because the sell was a great thing for all the employees at Ashland Hospital. And then you don't get their support, because it's all, you know, here's one side, here's the other side. We got to get away from that.
I was independent for a lot of my younger years, and I don't understand the fighting either. Let's go for some solutions.
Well, I'll give you the solution for
And let's
politics,
have that flag in the background.
unless you're running out of time.
Go ahead.
The Kavanaugh case is a great one, where the vote's 11 to 10. So the majority party always has one more person on the committee than the minority party. So if we made the committees equal, and President Courtney did that in our Senate this year. He had violated a couple times and he apologized for it. But he said, if I don't have a minority party signed onto the bill, I'll just throw it away. So if we made all the committees equal in the state and the federal, then you have to appoint somebody that you know will get a vote from the other side. And you wouldn't have 3,000 bills. You'd probably have maybe 300 or 400 you'd vote on. It changed the whole course. There's no vote then for supermajority because it can't get out of committee.
Wow.
It changes the whole course of politics, and it doesn't
That's
need
amazing.
a bill.
Right.
It just needs the Speaker of the House and the President of the Senate to agree that they will make all committees equal.
Wow. Okay, so instead of 4,000 bills, perhaps you have 400 that are effective instead of trying to write bills to make it look like you're super productive and spend a lot of money, and I won't say anything
And
else.
let your people in charge, like the directors, let them do their job. They're good at it.
Right.
Don't make bills to tell them what to do. I mean, I met with the director of agriculture and spent the morning with her just 2 days ago, and we were at the Oregon State University facility here, and we were at the Fry family farms and met with Steve Fry and his daughter.
Yes.
And I tell her, do your job. If you need a bill or a law change, let us know. And let us know what you want changed to make you more effective and decrease your expenses. And I challenge every director I talk to, how much of the general fund in Oregon can you return back to the general budget?
Now that would be something.
I mean, it's
that would
easy
be something.
process.
I grew up with a financial genius, Benjamin Franklin Ivy III, and he would be watching that return to the general fund for sure. Well, I thank you so much for once again coming on Passion and talking about our state and solutions. And I thank you again for your public service. And we wish the best for your future. I know we'll be seeing you in public service, so thank you again.
Thank you.
All right.
Always a pleasure.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us on Passion. We thank you for watching and being a part of our discussions and look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye-bye.